medical emergency in Brown 9. I'll have a man standing by to guide you in.
It's too late.
Don't say that. You're gonna be fine.
No. My search is over. I failed. No one left. No one.
Yes, there is. I'll do it. I'll find the Grail.
Thomas.
I want to do it. Find it, Aldous. I swear I'll find it.
Commander Sinclair. Please witness. I name Thomas heir and successor. Everything I have.
I witnessed this last testament.
I see it, Thomas. The Grail.
Aldous?
You have transmissions holding.
Patch incoming signal. Full audio and video decode.
Purple files accessed.
What you are about to see has never been shown to anyone outside the Great Council.
And so it begins.
Hello, everyone out there in podcast land. Welcome to Gray 17, a Babylon 5 podcast, a part of the Front Row Network and NPR Illinois Community Voices. We are here for a special bonus episode, which is an interview with a member of the cast from season 1, Mr. Tom Booker. Tom played an affectionately known character named Jinxo in the Grail, or Grail. And we are looking forward to talking with you today, Tom, about your experience there, but also just your career and anything else you want to chat about. With me, I'm Scott, and with me is Kevin, who will be joining me in this little interview. And Tom, how about you just introduce yourself and tell folks who you are and what you're all about?
Hi, everybody. My name's Tom Booker. I played Jinxo in Babylon 5. My really one and only, my biggest role, television or otherwise, except unless you count late night bad taste theater. And I've just been an actor, a writer, a director, and mostly I'm also a teacher and an acting coach. So I guess I don't know. It's for decades, people have been asking me, what do you do? And I'm like, I'm not sure. So
what do you want to be when you grow up?
Yeah, exactly. Financially secure. That's the goal right now.
I think you may have picked the wrong.
Oh yeah, no, a lot of money in improv.
Sure?
Yeah. Second only to puppetry.
There you go. So, Tom, like I said, we're going to talk a little bit about, obviously, your stint in B5, but I also want to chat a little bit about just your experience as an actor. I know you've got some connection where we are all from. This show is mainly based with hosts that are from Illinois and the Chicago area, and you had some time there as well.
Yep.
But I'd love to hear from you about how you got into acting and how that led you to getting cast for the show.
Well, I'm from Tulsa originally, and I went to the University of Oklahoma and to study journalism, radio, TV, film. And I was going to quit, but then I became the mascot for the University of Oklahoma basketball team from 1984 to 1986. And I liked people looking at me. And I had a roommate from Chicago, and he told me about this place called Second City never heard of it. And I called them up and I said, hi, I want to take classes in Second City. They said, do you have any experience? Nope, but I was the mascot for University of Oklahoma basketball team. And they told me about this place called the Players Workshop of Second City. So I went there. Then I got in the Second City Conservatory and I studied with Del Close and Sharna Halpern at Improv Olympic. And I was on a house team there for a number of years called Blue Velveeta. And I was also one of the founding members of the Annoyance Theater. I was part of the flagship show, Co-Ed Prison Sluts, the musical. I played the part of the cross-dressing prison psychiatrist who sings a love song to a dog. Did a lot of stuff at the Annoyance and IO. Wrote some musicals with Laura Hall. Our first one was Manson, the musical. It was a family musical. We gave out little hits of acid. Not really, but maybe no. And there was a show that they were doing at the Annoyance called The Real Life Brady Bunch, and I was lucky enough to go to New York. So I played Bobby Brady off Broadway for a year and then went to LA and with the show. I was Bobby Brady for a year there. And when the show went on tour, I stayed in LA to get my pilot, my TV pilot. And that didn't happen, but I got sober. And my first sponsor said if I was in a play, I didn't have to go to meetings on Fridays or Saturday nights. So I formed a theater company called Theater A Go-Go because a lot of Chicago friends had moved out, including Laura Hall. And we wrote Patty Patty Bang Bang, the Patty Hearst musical, Up with Puberty, beautiful musical about the ugliest time of your life, You, Me, and LSD. And it was about that time that I got cast in Babylon 5. Although at the time, my first job in sobriety was every actor's dream. My first job was for Steven Spielberg right out of the gate. I was a waiter at his restaurant. It was called Dive, and it was the restaurant was shaped like a big submarine, and they served, ready for this, gourmet submarine sandwiches. It's not open anymore. Originally, the building was supposed to shake, but as they were building it, there was the Northridge earthquake, and they realized that maybe it's not a good idea if a building moves in LA. I've done it. I made my living mainly as doing commercials. I love doing commercials. I've done about 80, including one in 2005 with Melania Trump. Yep. So when Trump started running for president, I was on CNN dressed as Igor. I am not pro-Trump. Just so you know, no,
you're pro paycheck. So.
I had a fun afternoon. This was right after The Apprentice started, and so she was very nice. He was not on the set. But what else? And then I started teaching at the Second City Training Center in 2001. A friend and I did a feature film called, this is in 1999, feature film called Kill the Man that went to Sundance in 1999. I started teaching at the Second City Training Center in Los Angeles in 2001, and I taught there until 2007 when I moved to Austin, Texas, where I met your friend Kenny, and I owned and operated an improv theater and school from 2001 till COVID, or 2007 till COVID. And then my girlfriend Janet and I moved from Austin to Nashville in February of last year. So that's where I am now.
Just keep bouncing around, do you?
Yeah, well, I'm old.
That's what
it's more at my age. It's not so much bouncing as it's just kind of falling.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, you'll have that. And all of that bouncing back and forth or falling, as you say.
Yeah.
Obviously, you're looking for work in LA in the early '90s. Mm-hmm. So tell me about the casting and how that worked back then, because you were production order wise, you're pretty early into season 1. So I'm guessing they were looking for folks for your episode fairly quickly on. And I'm wondering how you nailed that part. Well,
the Real Life Brady Bunch got a lot of attention. So at that time, the cast of the Real Life Brady Bunch, we were a lot of people were giving us a lot of meetings and stuff. And when they were casting the pilot I got called in about 5 or 6 times for Veer, and that went to Steven first. Like I went to producers many times, and then they told me that we're going to bring you in on something else. They felt bad. It was really close. It would have been nice. Although I like to say about my performance in Babylon 5, I like to say that you can tell I didn't eat much of the craft service table because I sure did chew a lot of scenery.
That's one of those turn left moments there, isn't it?
Yeah.
What if you had gone ahead and taken on that role that would have obviously had you working at that craft service table a lot more than just the one episode?
Yeah. I remember when my agent called me and I said, Tom, they you didn't get it. They wanted to go with the name. And Flounder from Animal House?
Flounder's the name.
Is the name? Okay. Yeah. All right. So, that's how I got it. And the casting director, Mary Jo Slater, apparently was a big Tom Booker fan. Very nice. Everybody was very nice. It was a nice process. And then when I got to audition for the Grail, I slept. I've never done this before or since, but I slept with the script under my pillow, hoping that it would bring me luck.
So you had either the Tooth Fairy coming or the, acting fairy? Question?
Yep. Yeah. So, that's, and then when, Christy, the writer, when we were shooting it, said that she wanted to, in between setups, she goes, I have an idea for a sequel where you come back and you found something. It's not the Grail, but it might be something. And I found out recently that book interview that apparently this was the last thing that she wrote for television. Apparently there were a lot of people that this was their last Babylon 5 thing. I didn't know that the director had been let go before he shot this episode. And I really take the blame for all of that. I was going to say, I was somehow I was notified there was a podcast about Babylon 5 where they called me the worst actor in the world. And then I went back and watched some of it they're not wrong. I think I love doing commercials, but I think there's a real reason. There are people that are actors and there are people that are performers.
You see, I'm not sucking up. I swear to God, I'm not sucking up. But one of the things we talk about in our show is when we first watched B5. And for me, I watched it when it first released. I'm 99% sure I was about 11 years old watching it in 93, 94. But I don't remember much of it because I was 11 years old watching it for the first time. So most of my memories are when I would rewatch it later on when it hit TNT back in 97, 98, whenever that was. But I got to tell you, one of the things I do remember is how much, and again, I'm not sucking up, how much I enjoyed Jinxo.
Oh,
and seriously, because Grail is one of those episodes that pops out probably for two reasons. One, I enjoy your character, but also with David Warner, being a Star Trek fan, when Chancellor Gorkon's on the screen, I pay attention. I think, I'm not entirely sure what it is, but you bring that character, you give it kind of a naivety, but also a passion for, just caring about other people that I think stands out. So, I think there is some scenery chewing. I will not argue with you on that.
Yeah, you can tell me.
On the list of people that chewed some scenery on Babylon 5, there are a lot of people ahead of you.
Yeah, you're probably right. You're probably right.
Yeah, but now for at least 11-year-old Scott, you made an impression. So good job.
Yeah, I've been a fan of Mr. Warner's for quite some time as well as Scott has. So we wanted to ask you about your experience working with David Warner.
A couple things. One, he couldn't have been nicer. Could not have been nicer. He was great. And one of the things that when we're going to shoot our last scene and one of our last scenes, we were in the dressing room together, and he started to tell me, he said, Tom, I want to tell you, I want you to know that when I'm dying and I see the Grail, you are the Grail. And I thought that was really cool, you know, because I'm just, well, which way do I look? You know, and you are the Grail. I'm thinking, people think about this stuff. And then another thing that when we were shooting the scene where he died, they shot him first, David Warner, and then when it was my turn, when they turned the single on me, he was laying on the ground and he said, Tom, hold my hand, you know, it's out of the frame. He said, hold my hand. And then so I'm doing my lines, and then there's some work. They had converted this warehouse in Sun Valley into a sound stage. And so off at the other end, there was some work going on during my take, and David Warner knew I had no experience at this. He was one of the first to know, and he yelled, and I think this is the only time he yelled. I know it, and he said, "Can they stop it? Can they stop it?" And then he just said, "It's not fair. It's not fair," because he, you know, was standing up for me because he knew I. And so those are a couple of really nice things. Like I said, he couldn't have been nicer.
So to use the cliche that's used too much, he was an actor's actor, helping us out. That's awesome.
Yeah, and it's just, I'm just so lucky to have worked with him.
Yeah,
you know, it's just, he's such a legend and a treasure, and it's just. And it was fun. It's great to, when you're in the room with guys like that, where you just hope they start talking because you just want to listen.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and it's wonderful.
Well, and he had worked with several members of the cast, or members of the cast, both at the time and later. Jim Norton, and I was there when it had apparently been a long time since they'd seen each other. Mm-hmm.
And because Jim had to remind David Warner that they hadn't seen each other since Straw Dogs, which I think was late 60s, early 70s.
71.
Yeah. And also, it was, I mean, everybody was really nice on the set except, what's his name?
You guys waited with bated breath here, except
he was only on for the that's why I had where'd my cast go? Here we go. Michael O'Hare. I upset him a little bit.
Tell us more.
Yes, okay. It was my last day, and there was a thing where he wanted to get some information out of me, and I wasn't giving him soon enough, so he threw me. His character throws my character against the wall, and I, you know, being inexperienced, I kept moving, and so it was a take. You know, it was a close up, so I kept moving out of frame, and apparently we did too many takes for Mr. Sinclair. Because as the takes, each time we had to redo it, I went into the wall a little harder.
He was just helping to motivate your acting.
I guess. Yeah. It was like, man, you know,
he was helping you be a method actor.
I guess. I don't know. Maybe he was late for something. He was.
He had you by a few inches too. So I think.
Other than that, I mean. And I'm going to just say he had a bad day. Let's say he was having a bad day and he just didn't have any time to mess with Jinxo.
Well, and unfortunately, you know, when you get into that story a little bit more, Michael O'Hare had a lot of bad days. But we're going to talk about that more with our show as we get a little deeper into the season. The other person I wanted to talk with you about, well, there's several. But go ahead.
No, go on, because I think it's coming up.
Well, I don't know. So you mentioned already that before you even started filming this episode, the director, Richard Compton, had been let go. And Richard Compton is one of the few people that wind up in J. Michael Straczynski's book by name. And he talks about how they did not get along when they were filming The Gathering, which was the pilot about a year before this, a little bit over a year before this. And so it's always interested me that even though they did not get along at all when they were filming the pilot, that Compton continued on and directed several episodes, this being his last one. So I wanted to get kind of your feed on how he was as a director and what you were seeing while you were there.
To me, he was great. But, you know, I had very, very little experience at the time, and I didn't know about the that he'd been let go and still had to shoot this final episode until someone informed me of that and asked me. I didn't get a lot of direction, but and looking back, that might have been it. But I certainly couldn't say when we were doing it that he was phoning it in, you know, and or I had no idea. So, you know, I think he, and it could have been like, he's like, we can only do so much with this guy.
You're so good at talking yourself up, Tom.
Well, there's a reason I haven't done another guest star role since 1993. Don't you think?
No, I don't know. Again, I'm biased.
Well, they're bringing it back, and I'm hoping to play Jinxo's dad.
There you go.
Wouldn't that be
all
great?
About the reboot. It's all about the reboot.
Papa Jinxo.
Well, improv is such a difficult medium, and the fact that you teach it must mean something about how good you are at that, because I can't even imagine doing improv. I did a little bit in high school and I was awful at it. So.
Now, Kevin, did you say you have kids?
I do, yes. Scott does too, yeah.
You ever lie to them?
Sure, occasionally.
Well, that's also called acting, Kevin.
Yeah.
So don't tell me you don't know how to improvise.
No, we don't have money for another Nerf gun. No.
So it's just getting out of your way.
Yeah.
You know. Yeah.
So, Tom, what did you think I was going to bring up? Who did you?
I thought you were going to talk about William Sanderson. I forgot about William Sanderson.
Please.
All right. Then William Sanderson would, if he were here, he would tell the story. It was not a couple things. All right. First TV thing. I'm nervous, and I was the one in the wrong here. I was. So we were when you shoot a TV show, you first you block the scene, and so you go and you're running lines, you're blocking the scene, and the director directs you, and the DP's talking, so they know where to set up the lights and what set up to do next. And then you go away for a while, and then they get set up, and you come back. Well, when we were blocking the scene, I was trying to memorize my lines, and so I wasn't looking at my script. And at one point, William just shouts, one of my first days, not my first day, just shouts, "He's giving me a different line every time. I just want to make sure everybody knows that." And
in that voice that everyone who grew up in the 80s and 90s knows.
And I just thought, what a dick. And but the thing is, he knows he's a dick. Because at that time we were doing a remount of Manson the Musical, and during our shoot I said, "Hey, I'm doing this show," and I handed him a flyer, and he said, "Wow, I'd like to see this. You know, if we're still talking at the end of this, can you remind me, because I'd like to come." So, you know, I guess he's like that a lot.
Were you still talking at the end of the shoot?
We were, but I don't think I reminded him about the show. Another great Billy Mooney, that was great. How great is it to work with? He had a band at the time, probably still does.
Oh yeah, yep.
And they were playing the Palomino, which is a club. No, it was in the Valley. It's no longer there, but it was. Talking to him was just like, it was like a throwback in time.
Yeah,
he's just I don't think he's that old, but he seemed like an old hippie, and it was just and it's wonderful to meet people that have been in the business that long and are just happy to be working.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and he was a sweetheart.
Yeah, one of my white whales. I have my other podcast is a Twilight Zone podcast, so. Mm-hmm. I continue to bug him and his people, and he doesn't reply to me, but sooner or later, maybe. But he definitely, one thing, he was actually not exactly a spring chicken when he did this. He was in his 40s when he did the show. And I was just reading a few days ago that even though he plays like, the younger Minbari in this show, he is about a year and a half older than Mira Furlong at this point when he is filming this. So he plays the younger guy pretty well. I guess it's because he's known as the younger guy, even though he's been in the business since the 60s.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was great too. And another guy that you just hope will talk about, say something, try to, So I was looking at the cast of John.
Yeah.
What do you have any other questions? What?
I'd love to hear about just advice you would have. We have we have a lot of theater and actor nerds that gravitate our way, and especially with our podcast network, which is the Front Row Network, which is just made up of a bunch of theater nerds. I'd love to get your advice on how to make a career like this work for better or for worse.
A couple things. I mean, this is one of the things that I've been doing since I've been in Nashville is I've been a contract writer for, I don't know if you guys know who Dave Ramsey is.
Yes.
And so
I work in finance, so
okay, yeah. So I've been writing a lot of scripts. Past few years, my life has just been didn't see that one coming, and because I'm not the guy that you want to write scripts about personal finance, but there's a lot of why didn't I listen to this advice? And then I'm like, okay, let's put that in the script. A couple things that I would put in my acting script. Would work on one thing at a time. Also, pay attention to how the world responds to what you do, and it's the same advice that I would think of as if you're an actor or a writer or director. Think of yourself as a small business, and what would people pay your small business to do? And what do you enjoy doing rather than I think I try to do too much rather than focusing on one thing. Also, it's okay to have fun, but see what you can, if there's a way to get paid to do what you have fun doing. Find the fun in what you do, and also know that there's no reason why you can't get paid to do your dream. Be willing to fail. It happens no matter what you do. I mean, if you're selling boiled peanuts in the parking lot, you're going to have a bad day. So why not have a bad day trying to be an actor, writer, or director? and put in the reps. Just show up each day to the page, or be, constantly working on being the best artist you can be, and find the joy in mastery rather than fame. I think that's a big thing that old Tom Booker wishes young Tom Booker would have known. Is work it. Steve Martin has a great line, be so good that they can't ignore you. And if you just focus on getting the best that you can at your craft, the other stuff will take care of itself.
I like that line, Tom. I'm going to steal it.
I stole it from Steve.
Well, not the Steve Martin one, the one before that.
I like to say Steve like I know him. Which line is that?
Find joy and mastery rather than
because that's an achievable goal. Yeah. Well, I mean, find joy in the process. The reason I think I did so well doing commercials is I loved auditioning for commercials. And if you love auditioning for commercials, your auditions are going to be good because the stuff that I was auditioning for was fun, and the people that I was auditioning with were great, and it was wonderful. In hindsight, not a good way to make a long-term acting career. Because if I'd been as successful in film and television as I had been in commercials, I would reach a stage where I wouldn't have to audition every time. But with commercials,
and you wouldn't be interviewing with us.
I would. I wouldn't pull a Mooney.
There you go.
I have a feeling I have a feeling when you talk to him. I mean, who knows if his people, because I'm sure he gets a lot, but
oh yeah.
I think if you were to ever meet him face to face and ask him, he'd say yes. I'd be really excited. I
bet so. And that's the one thing we've talked to a couple folks who were cast on the show, and the one thing that's been very nice to hear is that for the most part, unless somebody's being a dick, the people are good people and enjoying their craft, which is great.
And that stuff starts at the top, like any job. And so it's just the leaders were nice people, and I'm not. William Sanderson seems like the kind of guy that doesn't get along with a lot of people. But he keeps it on the inside mostly, so it seems to work out. He's very talented. He's obviously... who knows? Maybe he's nice now. Maybe. But if all of a sudden there's a knock on my Nashville door. Hey, Tom.
I heard you talking about me.
You want to get together? Cup of coffee? Sure. Talk about acting? Okay. Okay, Bill. I don't know if he was called Bill.
Tom, is there anything else you want to hit on? Anything you want to talk about you're working on or anything else before we
no. I'm remounting maybe a podcast called the Good Morning I Love You Show podcast that I was doing a daily podcast. I when I moved from LA to Austin, everybody was so nice to me. I thought they were messing with me. and I couldn't understand it. Like, I want to be known as the man who brought hate to Austin. And I was in Austin long enough to put together a podcast called The Good Morning I Love You Show, your daily dose of positive stuff that helps start your day off right. And now I'm a preacher's wife in East Nashville, Tennessee. I'm supposed to be famous, and instead I'm a humble preacher's wife in East Nashville, Tennessee. Janet, my partner, got a job as a minister here in Nashville. And this is, I don't know if you know what a parsonage is. It's a house that's owned by, you're looking at a parsonage.
We have one right across the street from my house.
So it's both Jan and I are like, how did this happen? But we're having fun.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Well, Tom, I really appreciate your time. It's been great chatting with you. We have a whole bunch of folks who are experiencing this for the first time. So I'm looking forward to getting their reactions to your, as you said, scenery chewing and see how they feel about that. And
I want to do a convention.
Yeah?
No one's asked me to do a convention.
I'll tell you what, I'm 100% serious on this.
Yes.
We, Front Row Network, does a lot of work with St. Louis Fan Expo, which is not too far from you.
I'm there.
We can get this done. I'm 100%. We can get this done.
I just want the experience. It's not like, wouldn't it be fun? It might be fun. I don't know.
I'm telling you, just knowing the nerds that are there, you would draw a crowd. I'm telling you.
Let's spread the word. Jinxo is available.
Sure.
Okay, dude.
We're writing you down.
This.
All right,
I got this. I am calling my brother as we speak. After I get off the phone,
because they were already talking about trying to put together a Babylon 5 panel. So let's do it.
We got this.
You got it.
Come on down to St. Louis.
Everybody else is dead. So,
jeez,
just my motto.
Hey, man.
Tom Booker, Jinxo, Babylon 5, in parentheses. Everyone else is dead.
I was a director of an organization because of attrition. I hear you. I get it.
That's why I'm with Janet. She just got, she just like, well, you're here.
She settled. Excellent.
Don't let her know. Don't tell her.
Well, on that wonderful note, Tom, I really do appreciate it. And again,
I love you guys. Thank you so much.
I sincerely mean it, though, man. I don't have too many memories back then because I'm now old and senile, but I remember you, and it was very much impactful to my kid brain. So thank you so much for what you did and what you do, man.
All right. Well,
okay, Tom. Thank you so much.
Thank you so very much, Tom.
You guys have a great day.
We'll see you in St. Louis.
Pleasure to meet you.
I'm there.
Okay.
All right. Bye.
Have a good one.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening to Grail 17, a Babylon 5 podcast. You can find all the places to listen to this podcast and links to our social media accounts at anchor.fm/Grail17podcast. We want to hear from you, so please join the discussion on Facebook and Twitter. Be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Grail 17 is a part of the Front Row Network and NPR Illinois Community Voices. You can find all the Front Row shows at thefrontrownetwork.com. Grail 17 is not affiliated with, and this podcast has not been prepared, approved, or licensed by Warner Brothers or any other owners of the Babylon 5 copyright. All audio clips included in this podcast are the intellectual property of their respective copyright holders. They are included here for the purpose of review, and no infringement is intended. The opening and closing Babylon 5 themes are available from Falling Matter on YouTube.
And what's out there?
The rim,
And beyond that?
the truth.